I think the Malay Muslim community have progressed over the years hugely, and we have witnessed that, and we are part of that as well. By and large, in Singapore, there are 1.1 million HDB homes. So most high percentage of every community stays in HDB. But it may be in proportion, yes. Maybe some communities can be in a private and landed in a higher proportion. But nevertheless, in the last 25 years, because we have been in the thick of the business, today many our community people have also upgraded to executive condominium, which is a privilege for Singaporean, relatively lower price subsidized by the government, but it's a lifestyle of a private property. We have got many of our community have also upgraded to private properties and even landed homes. Many. We know of our community people who are staying in not only terrace houses, semi-detached and bungalows. So yes, it's a choice for every individual. Therefore, that's a very good part of the progress. But on the other hand, I can also say there is also another spectrum or the group of people in our community who may be not too ambitious. And that's not wrong or right, because I also totally do not want to put buying the biggest property is the benchmark of success. What's most important is anybody living a life meaningfully, purposefully, and having a happy home under a roof. If that HDB can provide that, why not? That's perfectly all right to me. Okay? But on the other hand, if any one of us who can afford it and who have a desire, I think it's the right thing to do is to upgrade. And I will tell you why. You see, if today a public housing costs $500,000 to $700,000, a 4-bedroom. Yeah. If someone who buys this and retires 25 years later, no doubt the 4-room would have exceeded $1 million for sure because of inflation. But 25 years later, if you sell the 4-room at even $1 million, what are other right sizing you can do? You still need a 4-room or you want to go to a 3-room. But on the other hand, if you can afford from a HDB that is 500 to 700,000 to buy an executive condominium at, let's say, 1.5 million. And then you continue to work because you have the ability and you're financing it through the CPF and your income. 25 years later, that executive condominium could well be $3 million. And at that time, if you choose to right size to a 4-room HDB at $1 million or 1.5 million, you still have got a lot more capital built that you can retire comfortably. So that's what I'm trying to say to all people, not our community, generally to all Singaporeans. Live within your means. Don't go and buy a property that at the end of the day, every day you have to eat Maggi mee and have to every week you have to go to JB to pump petrol. There's no meaning.
Would you describe today's Malay generation as being more daring in taking risks? So you see, as you mentioned, now we see a lot more of them owning private properties as their first homes. But if you were to maybe look back 20 years ago, they choose to purchase like a 4-room HDB flat, even though they could get something even larger, like they could afford it. But today we have friends, we see our cousins, relatives who go straight into buying, private property.
I said over the last 25 years, things has changed for sure. You see, today informations are through not only from social media, the social setting, and because it all has also got to do, it's a known fact, the education level of our community has also improved. Today, there are many more people having a degree as a start state when they start the job, and we have got many more people with diploma. So education empowers people, right? And with education, they're also getting better jobs, which allow them with a better pay. And usually, chances are, when you are with a higher education, you end up finding a partner of a similar status. And that helps with a double joint income. And that's how, for sure, income is slightly better because of education and the job opportunities. And number two is also the aspirations of the younger generations today is much more than probably at the earlier stages. People were a bit more happy and comfortable with enough. But the younger generation say, I want to make a difference. But the caution I always say here is okay to have more, but within the means. I will keep repeating this, within the means, because we really, truly as a culture, we do not want anybody to overstretch themselves and not being happy about it.
Yes,
We must build, because you can always build your wealth in real estate, not in the onset that you must stretch yourself. Progressively, you can build your wealth.
Means, is it your observation that you notice people have been living beyond their means?
In the past was very huge. I've witnessed that hugely in the past. Let me give some of the example, and especially in our community, because when we started as Norris consultants, they were very simple mind. Yeah. So I'm just saying that what we witnessed in the earlier days when the HDB prices appreciated fast pace, right? People bought the house at $50,000 and they sell it for 200, 250. And suddenly they received a capital appreciation, a check, 100,000, 100 in their
This is what Malay say,
lifetime.
durian runtuh.
And they have not seen that kind of money, but neither did they have the expertise or the right advice. Yeah. And what they did was they spent huge amount of money in holidays. Suddenly they go for Hajj, Umrah, which is a good thing, but bringing in an entourage of people together at the same time and then come back. And when they buy the next house, they renovate 50,000, 60,000, everything because they had the money.
Yep.
But what happened? It only lasted 2 years. And then they bought a property that was stretched beyond the means, but then they couldn't pay, and then they lost some job and so on. And there was really no proper planning. That was the past. Today is not. Today I see, also because the government has put in place many measures like loan to value, age, and MSR, mortgage servicing ratio. Those days there wasn't. People who earned lesser money can take a big loan because it was public. It's a different sets of rules. So I must say today our community has matured in many ways.
Seeing, more and more property agents being in the social media space. And, also celebrities. I think the latest in the news, Hadi Mirza, who has become a property agent as well. So, do people actually see real estate as a get-rich-quick career?
I don't think either artists or for that matter anyone see real estate as a quick reach, because most of them know from the start state it's difficult and hard work. The first difficulty comes from passing the exam. I mean, many of them would have heard this in the market. I've got friends who are scholars who attempted 3 times and failed and gave up. Okay, so it's not easy to pass the exam. And second, it is not quick, fast scheme to be rich or a millionaire. Yeah, because it takes a lot of hard work. And I also know not every salesperson is successful. If everybody can be successful and can earn 100,000, everybody in Singapore should consider to be a real estate salesperson. But it cannot be, right? It is not the case. But obviously, there's one added advantage for celebrity. What is the added advantage? In a sales business, you need a network of people who want to engage your services. The mere fact that you are a celebrity, you have a network of audience, and if you are a person who's sincere and someone that who can be connecting to them, you will be more successful.
You mentioned about how property agents have been on social media, right? And also sometimes we see when they are on social media, they have a lot of flashy stuff. They have like fancy cars. So as an agent, do you need all of these flashy things so that people know?
I won't say you need, but because I've never driven or owned a Ferrari in my life. But generally, some people do drive good cars. It's also for them, they feel that they earned it, that worked so hard, and this is a privilege, and I'm also trying to visually show to people that I'm successful. Some of them also feel that if he's successful, that means he's active in the business. So he's not just fly by night. So he have the resources and the ability. So maybe I want to hear from him, because even some of the younger generations aspire to model after them. So it's a lifestyle, right? So some of the salespeople choose to, but I must say not necessarily every agent take the similar.
We know that our community is still overrepresented when it comes to living in rental homes, rental public homes. So what are your thoughts on this, and how can they move out of this situation?
Yeah, I think the government have got huge amount of support, and I would definitely encourage our community who are staying in the rental flat for the current reasons, whatever reasons, and I respect that, because every one of us go through at certain time. And I told you, my younger days, we grew up in a rental flat too, as my family. So I think today, if you look at it, the lower income group tend to receive the highest amount of grant from the government. It all tagged to the household income. The lower the household income, you can get into maybe 80,000, 100,000, or more than 100,000, depending on whether you're going to buy a BTO or resale. A resale got a higher grant than the BTO. So what is important here is this. I honestly encourage every people who are staying in the rental, if you can afford a smallest house, doesn't matter whether it is 2-bedroom or a 3-bedroom, start your own home. Because there's two great advantage. Number one, a home your own, whatever you renovate, whatever you spend that little money to decorate, is your property, not a rental property. Number two, real estate properties over time appreciates. In a rental, no doubt the monthly rental is low, but on the other hand, it doesn't appreciate. But even having just a 2 or 3-bedroom, another 10, 15 years down the road, that property is fully paid up and it has appreciated, and that is your safety net at retirement. So I know it may be like so easy for me. I'm not saying that everybody should take immediately, but at least have a desire to start it as soon as possible. Go and find out, because you'll be surprised, truly you'll be surprised, especially if you're a first timer. And you may qualify for so much of grant that your monthly installment is only $200-$300 because bulk of it is paid through the grant. But for each is different, so I cannot be very specific to give an advice on individual. But you can speak to any of the sales people, or you can go to HDB. You can go to HDB and ask them on these schemes of how you can, from a rental, upgrade to a BTO of a smaller flat with a maximum grant with subsidy.
Okay. I mean, despite the many grants and subsidies that the government has, why do you think people are still in rental homes? Is it the lack of awareness that there are these grants and subsidies available?
One thing maybe is just that, as you said, lack of knowledge, not knowing how much grant and how not too heavy a commitment on them. So this could be one. The other reasons could be is because they are not ready to take a long-term commitment. Because when you buy a property, it's a commitment. You have to have a stable job. And HDB or bank can only give you a loan to bridge that payment, provided you are employed, permanent. And especially when you are working on just odd job or not on a fixed salary, it becomes a bit more difficult. So these are some of the challenges they face, and it is really real. But if they could be inspired to find a job that can give me, how little doesn't matter, buy the smallest home doesn't matter, having your own home in Singapore is a big plus advantage for your retirement.